to conferences all the time is the main driver for progress in your skill set and also your relationship, and basically any professional can become a better professional by attending conferences.
It's not the standard, okay? It's a movie theater, but the visual is great and the sound is great, and I've seen a lot of room and space, and I think it's organized well.
Seeing all the people here today and they're excited about stuff, and you can see the energy and the desire to learn and do new things.
And I was positively surprised about the depth, the technical depth of the sessions, and how that makes the tester part of the team.
I think developers do benefit from coming to QA conferences, just the same as testers can benefit from going to dev conferences. You've got to have a broad understanding of what's going on.
It's really inclusive. I would say it's super diverse. People are really, really open and friendly, and it's really organized.
Conferences are well worthwhile just for the ideas that they spark in people. When people come back to the office, they're full of ideas and they're all energized up.
So hi, this is Almudena. I come from Spain, from Barcelona, a really sunny place to work in Lidl right now. And I'm going to TestCon this year to see you all there. I will just talk about something that bothers me every day, that it's so difficult to run and execute and create performance tests. So if you are a product owner or a product manager or something related to project management, don't come to this talk, because I'm going to tell you how easy and fast it is to create test suites for performance with a Swagger specification. So don't come, please. Let us, all the performance testers, be happy and saying our work is really hard. Thank you. See you there. Welcome to this talk that it's about the swag of performance testing. And it's a talk where I will explain all my hesitations and my problems daily basis with the performance, because everyone said that it's a really hard work, it's a really hard job, and actually I'm gonna try to put across that it's not that hard. Actually, it's a pretty easy way to create tests. So yeah, this is me. I'm Almudena Vivanco. I come from Spain. I studied maths like a long time ago. I've been working as performance tester and performance engineer for the last 18 years. And I've been speaking and trying to advocate for performance testing and nurturing your performance testers for the last 11 years. I'm a member of the Girls in Tech Association. And we try just to role modeling for young girls in order to make them study some science, technology, engineering, or mathematics. So let's start. So first of all, I would, if we were live, I would just started asking who of you work with Swagger or with Open API initiative. I mean that. For last years, I've been trying to come across some teams within my organization to use Open API specification in order to have a documented APIs and services. It's a simple way to describe a RESTful APIs in a machine and human readable format, but as well, it's a tool really powerful for us to create some tests. But sometimes I feel like when actually I was talking a while ago about how to put this non-functional testing like performance and security in a way or in a specification that the stakeholders of the business can understand. Sometimes you feel like you're a stranger in this world, and Swagger gave me the tool to specify it and have a human way of explaining the APIs exposed in the services. This is an example of last year of Expo QA, that is another conference here in Spain, and there was this speaker that brought in this example in a PDF of documentation of his APIs, and I was like, I'm gonna use that because I would say I'm in this agile world. We need to be the code is live, and the documentation should be as well agile and should be alive as well. So there shouldn't be any PDF. So I'm just proposing to have these tools that we have the Swagger Hub, and we are here. We are going to only use to generate code, mocking, and we can collaborate between all the different squads. Because when you're working in the cloud and you're working with 20 squads, as it is my case, you are just you have a squad that is business oriented. They have a product, and you have to collaborate between them because the microservices are going to speak to between themselves. So sometimes you need to collaborate, and you will need just to have a generation of the code, a version control, and sometimes you need to mock some of the services. So this is why we are using the Swagger and all the smartware environments and tools. What is actually, or what can we describe in Swagger? So as I said, Swagger is just a tool that follows the Open API specification. There you have all the operations that you are using, all the APIs parameters, the authorization if there's an authorization there, and additional info like who has done this endpoint, what is actually doing, or where is the reference, and everything that you can have as documented in the API. But as well, what can you do? The Swagger is not coming. You can create the Swagger before, but sometimes the Swagger just inherits from the code. So it's a live piece of documentation that you don't have to maintain that. It's not like I don't know, like Confluence or like a PDF that you have to maintain. It's alive. It's a human being. It's a documentation being. So one of the tools that are in the smartware environment or in the smart ecosystem is that you can create different SDKs for multiple languages. So if you are like, I don't know, your code is in C#, like it's my case, you can just create a mock, or you just create a server like in C#. And maybe you have applications, mobile applications that are just consuming from those APIs, and they can be in Kotlin or in Swift, and they just can consume from there and code generate from this Swagger that is published. So what is the Open API object actually? What do we have to inform in our Swagger documentation? So we need this info object. We need the service, of course, where we will be running or will be creating, generating. Of course, we will need the endpoints, the paths, the components, the security one, that it's authorization, the protocols. We have maybe some tags just in order to have some order in it and put it tidy up a bit of the documentation. Of course, we can just point to some external docs. So those are basically all the steps that we have in the Open API object, and we will have in our Swagger. This is a really simple Swagger where you can see that we have the general information. Here it's here you can see that it's my name here, my email. This is like testing in my laptop, so we will have it hosted in localhost. We have a base path. That is the base URL that we will be using for the endpoints. We have the protocol, the path, and the methods, and what it's going to do. So this is a really simple one. You can just download it from the GitHub. Mrs. Dain, that's my GitHub. You will have the URL, so you can download it from there, the example, and just follow this demo and this talk. So what can we do? If you just go to Swagger, to editor.swagger.com, you can see that we have an editor there, and you just can't put the Swagger that you have generated or that you have to specify your your endpoints. And you will see that if you have this example, the simple API example, we have two endpoints here. One is a post, and the other one is a get for an inventory. And you will see that you have a virtual server where you can try out your APIs, and you can see if actually they are working properly. And in Vaso, considering this Swagger, you can just try out and testing your endpoints. That's the important thing of this, and you can see if they are working or not. And this allows us to create on beforehand tests, and not only functional tests, but as well we can just create some performance testing before it says that it's deployed in production or it's deployed in pre-production. We just can run it in our local and try to see if there is a bottleneck in our local or in a CI environment or any other environment, a staging environment, as far as soon as possible that you have this code created. Actually, you can start creating your performance test, and that's the point actually for the whole talk, that it's easy to create the performance test. If you have your documentation, if you have your Swagger, it's even easier, and you can do several ways. So you see that here we have this Swagger that's really easy to see. You see that we have a virtual server, swaggerhub.com, and that we have a test here running out, and we have tried out the code. So what can we do with that? The problem with microservices, as I said before, I'm working now for Lidl, that in a company that is completely cloud oriented. We have everything on the cloud, and we are always trying to maximize the potential of the cloud and the microservices development. And we have like 20 teams, 20 squads, and they are product oriented, so they are creating one product that actually it interacts with another product. So what happens when you have one microservice created and the other one is not yet developed? That sometimes you have to test these coupons or these tickets product, but you don't have the other parts, so you need to mock it. You mock it somehow. This comes helpful. In this case, Swagger comes helpful. Why? Because we have a way to generate mocks and servers that allows us to mock these services between the microservices, and we will be able to see all these interactions and all this messaging between the microservices without the need of having all the code deployed in a testing environment. So we are able just to run and execute as soon as possible the tests in a component level, just to check if this component for this product-oriented component is ready for production to go live without the integration with the other ones. So this allows us to deploy easily, faster, and in a more safer way, performance-wise. This is, for example, this is a application map in Azure that you will see all the interactions between the different services. We can mock one of these circles easily with the tools that we have with the Swagger. So that's a way we can do it. Because actually this is a slide that I just painted. You can see my paint skills. Like I was in Europe, so that's I would say like 12 years ago, a bit more even. And actually, the problem is still there. We are not that many SREs or performance testers, and we have a lot of squads. 12 years ago, there were like 8 squads, and I was the only performance tester there, or performance engineer. So I was working for 8 squads. Right now, we are 3 performance engineers, 3 SREs, but we are 20 squads. So it's more or less the same problem. You have to automate. You have to automate or die actually trying. You have to work along with the teams, and you have to delegate on the teams. Actually, because they are product oriented, they know what the product needs, what are the needs of their products. They need the SLIs, the SLOs, the service level agreements that they have. What is the criticity? They have like product-oriented way of testing that component. So actually, we try to automate as much as possible, just to bring it as faster as we can and as sooner as we can, the shift left that everyone said. So here comes the Swagger in help as well, again. So we can see that we have like what I was telling before, that we have a microservices and we have a gateway where we just deploy different versions for different environments, for different countries, for different devices. So we have different devices consuming from, or different applications consuming from different versions of the endpoints and device. How you can test all this if we have like 4 versions in production, that's a huge amount of time. But if you automate it, if you can just create the test as soon as you have the code, and as soon as you have not necessarily the code, but the specification of the code, you can just execute all these tests as soon as possible, and that allows you to see the bottlenecks. You allows to see how which of the tiers of the in your cloud is going to need, if you are going to have to deploy it alone or you can deploy it in another place, what is actually the hardware or the system that you're going to need to deploy that software. So as I said, we have this integration between the microservices. You wanted to test it as soon as possible. This is where comes the mocks that from the API spec are really, really, really helpful. So this gives you a really fast way, an easy way to create mocks. So actually, you just need to go again to the Swagger Hub, to the editor, and just generate a server. You can generate the server. If you can see, there are different SDKs. You can generate in Python. You can generate in C#. You can generate in different languages. Maybe you just want to, for instance, for myself, I usually generate it in Python because I'm more expertise in this language, and for me it's easier to put a Flask and with the Python server there. But I can just do whatever of the SDKs that you need and that you're comfortable with. And here comes helpful, and that it's handy that you have it with Swagger Hub. So you just download a Swagger server, and you have you have all the mocks. For example, what I said, that I have it in Flask with Python. You have all the tests created. You have, like, of course, maybe they don't work from scratch. Maybe you just want to interact with them. Maybe you need to do something with the code. Usually you have to, but there's a lot of manual things, like creating the model, for example, in Python, that this test brings you with it. So you don't have just to do this hard work of just creating all the model, and you just can automate it. And that's really comes handy when you have like 20 squads just releasing code. So here, as I was saying, you have the client, you have the model. You just have to touch a bit of your test, and you have here the test already. And this is the functional one. But what happens with the performance ones? Well, the performance ones it's the same, but sometimes you can create it the same way. At least you have the mock. So now, what can we do about it? We need just to check the bottlenecks, because in a couple of weeks, Black Friday is coming. I might have a bottleneck there. I want to check in the new code if there's a bottleneck between all the microservices talking to each other. Where is our bottleneck? Because maybe the curve ran right over us, and the Black Friday will just outage us, and doesn't want. We don't want that. So what can we do? How fast can we create the tests? Because there's a lot of endpoints here. There's a lot of services, over 100. So how can we test all of them? Are we going to spend time on creating these tests, or maybe we have a way to automate it? I'm going to explain you. I'm going to show you like 3 different ways of creating tests. So you have this Swagger. You put the Swagger. You import it into Postman. That is usual tool that we use in the testing groups, in the testing skills. We use Postman, and we can just create a proxy in Postman, so we can talk with our JMeter or load runner, anything that have like a test scripter or a test mirror, where you can just proxy and you just sniff all the traffic. So you just do this, like you just enable a proxy in your local host where you have the JMeter listening to, and you just interact with Postman sending through the JMeter. So you are at the end, you will have this JMeter test created from the Postman. So you don't need to create again the test. You already have it. You have the Swagger, you have the specification, you have your Postman. Why should I just create again the test? So this is the first one. This is an easy way to generate it. But what happens that actually the SDK, one of the SDKs of Swagger Hub, you have the JMeter as well. You can see that we have this emitter, and well, actually the last one, it will be created in a way that maybe it's not easy to interact with, and maybe actually it's easier to the Postman one, but you have this way as well. So you have another way, just downloading the client from the JMeter SDK from the Swagger Hub. I wouldn't suggest to do that because you will have to touch a lot of things, but well, that's another way. So you see that we have the second way. What I do usually when I face this kind of approach, when we have a gateway just exposing all the public endpoints, and we have different versions in the gateway, and we have everything, and we have different swaggers from the different products. So what I do usually is just to create reusable clients, and if you know a bit of JMeter or any other of the tools that we use in performance, usually we have the specification in a thread group. We have all the definitions of the endpoints there, like these ones. We have all the description of the endpoints, and then we have like a logical aggregation, like it's a workload, and then we actually define what is the load that we are going to add to this endpoint. So actually what I do is just to reuse all the specification here. So I only need to invoke via the module controller. I just need to invoke the description of the endpoints or the description of any logical aggregation that we have of the APIs, like a login, a login flow, or anything that I need to. So I just need to call from the module control. I just call another of the specification of the descriptions above, and I just need to maintain the specification that I'm maintaining through Swagger. So that's a way to have everything tidied up, and just a way just to reuse and reutilize code through JMeter. That is one of the hard things in this tool. But I said before, I'm a lazy cow, really lazy. So I told you I use Postman to show to JMeter. I use JMeter with the SDK client, or I use JMeter with this reusage of the specifications above. But there's another way. There's even more ways and more easy ways, because I have one problem with JMeter, and it's XML. That's a way. It's a really, really big problem for me. So when I have a PR and I have just to see the differences between two commits, it's a high amount of time investing there, and it's almost impossible. So here it's where I add a new tool, another tool, that it's BlazeMeter. What allows me, this tool allows me to have different engines in a wrapper. Actually, it's a YAML wrapper that will call different scripts, that will call different engines. It can call Locust if you have something in Python. It can call Gatling or Apache Benchmark. It can call a lot of tools. And it's really, really easy to read, as it's YAML. and it's you have all the configuration there, and it's easier to have a GitHub running, and you have the difference between your commits, and it's really more human readable than the XML of the JMeter. So actually this comes handy as well, because you have a tool coming with this BlazeMeter Taurus tool that is called Swagger to YAML. So it's even easier. You have your Swagger, you have Swagger to YAML, you have your specification for your BlazeMeter Taurus test. So it's even more lazy. So you see, it's really easy to specify, to create tests for performance. The difficult part, maybe, it's understanding your product, understanding your system, knowing which is the tests that you need to run or execute, or what is the output that you will have. That's the hard part of being a performance tester. That's the hard part of performance testing in general. But the creation and the maintenance of those tests with this tool that I presented right now, they're really easy. They are really easy right now. So this is BlazeMeter Taurus. This is the screen that you will see when we are running a test. And actually there are like the same as usual. You have to check for the HTTP status code. You have to check for the load time, for the response time. You have to check for the throughput that you will have. You will have to check maybe for the performance monitor of your system if you have well, actually in every case, actually you have to check for the performance indicators in your system, because you need to know if the bottleneck is something in your hardware or is something in your software. So performance is the mix of both worlds, so you need to know this. You have as well some to check if you have the asserts to know if your actually if your endpoint is properly giving the response or not. So you have a lot of things that to check, and this is what this tool allows you to do. So this is a demo time, because I talk about Mississippi 5. So sorry for the interruption. I mute myself. I was telling that it's easy to import a Swagger. You can from a link. You can from raw test, from a repository, from file. So it's really easy to import one. You can see that I have imported here the simple API that I was showing you before. Okay, here you have another one connected. It's this one here. You see that we have like two endpoints, like the search inventory and the inventory. So here, as I said before, I just import the Swagger to the Postman. I'm not going to do anything because I'm not functional, but I usually just talk to the QA team to have maybe a proper Postman created for me with the test suite. And what I do is just to add in the settings to have a proxy talking to my JMeter. Okay, so I set up the JMeter with the proxy server, the local host, and the port that you decided to have. So I have here, I just created, if you see, it's like add a non-test element, a test script recorder, and you will have here this one. So you see here a recording. So here it will show. I will just remove this because it's the test that I did before, and I will just run the server. I will just run this one, the search inventory, with a string, for example, a bill news. It won't work because it's not in the database, but okay, I just want to have the start. I didn't start it. I just want to have the endpoint here, actually. I just want to have the call. So I just run it again, and I just send it, and you see, it shows something. Exact comparison, and here in the recording I have the test myself. So here it just allows me just to work with I don't know, I just can put an assertion just to see the response session, if it's 200 or if it's 400 or whatever I need. Maybe I just can check if the size, or maybe I can check the response, or anything that I need just to check everything goes well. So you see, I created a JMeter really fast. what I do now is just I will change this one, change controller. Well, actually, I'm gonna just to switch off my proxy. So I'm gonna just change the controller. I will just call it like a simple one to see that I have here the definition. So I just have all the definitions of all the endpoints I want. I have them here. Now I just can create another thread group. Like for example, I just want to have a concurrency thread group. And I add here like a logic controller that it's called the module controller. I'm gonna check this. Stop. Okay, here you can see. So as I was saying, I just want a module controller and I just want to invoke the one that we have up. So this one here. I just open here and I just want the simple controller. So actually when I will be testing, I'm gonna test this one and not I'm gonna just put here the load that I want and I just can invoke the ones that I have defined up in the simple controller actually. So this allows me just to have anything change here, and this one that is actually the test that I'm going to run, the load test, will just need the maintenance of this one here. So this allows us to have everything a bit more tidy up. So this is the first way that I'm just integrating the Postman, so Swagger, Postman, and JMeter. As I said before, there's another way that is that you just can download the SDK from the Swagger. Here you can see I went to editor swagger.io and I have the same Swagger, simple Swagger here definition. I can generate a client that is, for example, in JMeter. Okay, this one here. This one here is the one that I showed you before. That is actually bits of a mess because you have this kind of search inventory, you have this load data from a CSV. It's not that simple as the one before from the Postman, but actually you require less effort to create it. So, well, maybe you want to work with this. I'm used to work with the Postman one because I have a really good QA team in my company. So they have this Postman maintained. They have all the APIs testing in Python written with BDD. So I feel comfortable working with them. So I just work with I just reuse their tools actually. But this is another way to do it. Something that we want to test as well. What I was saying is that you want to invest the less possible time and to waste the less possible time in testing your load. Maybe you want to mock something. So again, you can generate a server. You can generate in anything that you want. Actually, you feel like comfortable with. As I said before, I usually feel more comfortable with Python Flask. So I try to download it with it so I can just work with this mock. As it's a mock, actually, you just want it as light as possible because you are only creating a benchmark. You just want to know, for instance, the communication between the microservices. You are going to actually, you just have to think that you're going to test the other component. So you're talking to this just to have a 200 or like an error actually. But you just need to download anything, Python Flask or anything. And as well, you will have like a Swagger server, okay? You're gonna download this and you will see that here we have like some models and some tests. You can see that actually, well, this is in the Python Flask, so you will have this kind of testing. For example, for me, it's really important. It's really important to have the deserialization and serialization, just because it's one of the huge CPU hogs that we have in general in software. So this CPU bottleneck, I want to test it. We have actually everything that I said before, that sometimes it's like a bit boring to code it. That is the base model, that you have everything here. This one is a simple one, but maybe you have a even worse one. But actually, does it work? That's a problem. That's actually the need. So actually, you just download this one. For me, it's a Flask, so I just have to activate the environment, the virtual env, and I will have the server going on. So what can I do as well? I can just, I will have actually in my local host, I will have a Swagger going on. I can test it again here. I can list operations. I can just try it out and see if it happens and see if it goes to where I want it to go. So I mean, if it goes to the local host actually. So you can see that here in the test server, it's going to this mock that I'm using. So, hey, voila, eureka. So we have like actually a proper mock running. We can test. We have done a functional testing, but actually we can do a load testing. Maybe we can try the SDK that I have before. I've downloaded from the SDK of the Swagger Hub, and you can see that we have as well this working. But this is not the one that I like. I like more the Postman one, or maybe I just can go to the one that is from BlazeMeter. And I said before, we have the Swagger here, where I have it. That's a good one. Here, I have the Swagger. So the last one of them, as I said before, it was just to create a Swagger, a YAML for BlazeMeter from this Swagger. So a configuration for BlazeMeter Taurus with this Swagger here. So if you remind what I said, it's as easy as to have Swagger to YAML something, Swagger to YAML. If I have here's the Swagger definition. So it's Swagger to YAML, Swagger.YAML. And I will have a Swagger.YAML that I will have just to test. So actually, this is the point that this is the test, actually. You see that I do a search inventory with the default path, that it's the one that we were using in the mock, that we have the simple light test. And I want to show you the difference between this one and the specification of the GMX created, that it's this one. So you will see, this is the point. Actually, this is the main point, that if you have a Swagger and you have a YAML, it's really easy. It's way easier to understand it, to read it, rather than to have this XML that is huge and that you will have a problem when you are going to commit it, and you will have to check the differences. So last minute that we have right now, it's the last thing that I want to test with you, and I hope that it works, is that YAML I have just created, and you see that it's magic. It's here. Yeah, if it works, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not gonna touch anything. Actually, I haven't tried it before. Well, last time it was like almost some months ago, but maybe it works, and hopefully it works. Venga, let's see. Does it work? I'm almost 100% that it will work. So actually here you see that we have an SSL message that is not considered, but you will see that here it's BlazeMeter Taurus running, and we have a performance test running in our machine in local, and that you can see actually the bottlenecks. So if this was a pre-production environment, you see here that we have a test running in our mock server. So you see, it's really easy, it's really fast to have some working load test suite. And if you have any questions, just feel free just to leave me a question here. I will join Zoom. I can just run a demo if you need anything, or just want to check something with me. And that's it. I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that it's useful and that you will use this talk in your future and for your performance testers. So thanks a lot for joining. And you see, it worked. So now I think I have a couple of questions. Can Swagger be used for other types of testing, or it's mostly for performance testing? Swagger is used for everything. It's not only used for testing. It's used as well for Actually, as I told you before, for consuming, for example, the applications, the mobile applications that we have are consuming for Swagger. So they are code generating from the Swagger that is published by the backend. So you can use it for testing, of course. You can use it for mocking. You can use it for performance testing. You can use it as well for mutation testing, maybe. There's a lot of things that you can do with Swagger. Would you recommend to use the Ready API for performance testing? Actually, not, well, yes and not. I mean, there's a lot of documentation for Ready API, but there's not this, as you see, it's not that easy to import data from the Ready API as a performance tester. But of course, you can use it, of course. If there's this integration with the different tools that I propose, makes easier to use Postman and OpenAPI and JMeter and everything. Which is easier to learn to work with when you have no experience with any of them, Swagger or Postman? Actually, I'm using Swagger is a specification. It's not a tool, actually. Well, OpenAPI is a specification. Swagger is just a tool that uses the OpenAPI specification. For me, it's a combo. I mean, I could use Swagger alone, but I like to have everything centralized and automated, so I use Swagger with Postman. Why JMeter report annoys me? It's not JMeter report that annoys me. It's XML that goes with the JMeter when you are having a repository like GitHub. When you do different commits and you have to check, XML in GitHub is just everything is a change. So it's not really easy to find where your test changed. So it's way easier if you have a YAML. It's much way easier. How to run all these tests on CI? You have a Jenkins, you have a Bash, you can run anything. Just see that it's a command line. You have, for example, in Jenkins, you have the performance monitor plugin that you can use. And you just can't, with BlazeMeter Taurus, you can just use your reports in JTL, and you just can see where between your different builds there's a performance difference between them. Actually, you can do the same not only with Jenkins, you can do it with Azure DevOps, for example. That is the one that I'm using right now. So I don't know if there's another question there, or we can just join Zoom and we can discuss anything that you want there. So thanks again for joining us. Please leave some feedback. You can have my GitHub and you can have my Twitter, that is as well Mrs. Dane. And I will just link there the slides and you will have all the information there. Thanks a lot for joining, and see you in a minute. Talk to you later.